Hey guys, so we have already covered factoring of difference of cubes, difference of squares, and sum of cubes. And so we're going to go ahead and move on into our trinomial section. So if you have your blue notes with you, it'd be a good time to get those out. If not, they're going to be on your Google Classroom, so you can go back and refer to those if you need them. So basically, what we've been doing is working through the funnel of the factoring machine. We simplify, we rearrange, and we remove our greatest common factor first, and then we look at what we have left. We either have a binomial, a trinomial, or a four-term polynomial. So there are three special kinds of binomials that we've already talked about in this class, and now we're going to move into trinomials. Okay, so there is a factor test that comes before we actually start to factor a trinomial. And basically what this does is it's going to let us know if we can factor that or if it's in a position where it can't be factored any further. Okay, so it's just kind of a little easy way for us to check ourselves to see if there's more that we need to do or not. Okay, so with the factor test, your notes are set up the same as they were before. And if you want to print those out and fill them out on your own, or I'll have the updated copies again on Google Classroom for you. But we're just going to fill them out as we go. As I'm explaining this to you. So the key descriptors, basically we are using the factor test with trinomials. Okay, so that's what goes in that blank, trinomials. And trinomials in standard form are written ax squared plus bx plus c. The a is the coefficient in front of the variable squared. The b is the coefficient in front of the x, and then the c is your constant. Okay, and so those three numbers are going to come into play here in just a minute. Okay, so we use this to determine if a trinomial can be factored further or if it is what we call prime. We've already discussed prime before. Prime just means that it can't be factored any further. Okay, so the formula that we're going to be using is b squared minus 4ac. And b squared, this b comes from this b right here. So as long as it's in standard form, you're going to take this coefficient and plug it in here for b. Square that, then subtract 4, and then multiplied by a. Here's your a value, and then multiplied by c, and then here's your c value. Okay, so here are the steps. First step is you are going to substitute or plug in the a, b, and c values from your trinomial into the formula, and those were found just like I showed you a second ago. Okay, so here's the a, the b, the c. We plug them in here. We do b squared minus 4 times a times c. If the answer comes out to be a perfect square, and we've talked about perfect squares, remember they were up on the wall in the classroom. We're talking about 1 squared is 1, 2 squared is 4, 9, 16, 25, 36, and so on. Okay. If the answer is a square, you are not done. You will need to factor this further. Okay. If the answer is not a square, you are done. Okay. There's nothing else that you need to do on that trinomial. Okay. So this is just an easy way for you to check to see if you are finished or not. So here's a couple of examples of what this looks like. So again, remember, here's our formula, b squared minus 4ac. So here is a value, here is the b value, and here is the c value in this case. So we're going to start with b squared. So our b here is negative 19 squared. And as you put that into your calculator, remember that it has to be in parentheses. Even if you are not using one of our scientific or one of our graphing calculators, you still need to be using parentheses. Desmos is a great resource for you guys. So if you need to have a graphing calculator at home and you don't have one, use desmos.com. Okay, it's free scientific calculator. All right, back to what we're doing. So we have b squared here minus 4 multiplied by a, which here is 6, and then multiplied by c, which is here 15. Okay. And so all we're going to do is plug this into our calculator. So I'll pull my calculator up here, give it just a second to get warmed up. Okay, and we're going to have in parentheses negative 19, close the parentheses and square it, minus 4 multiplied by 6 multiplied by 15. And we are going to get an answer of 1. Okay, is 1 a perfect square? Yes, it is. So we are not done. This can be factored further. Okay, so it can be factored. All right, so at this point, we would go to the next step, which is what we're going to learn in the next video, backwards FOIL. Okay, so, but right now, for today, we're just going to stop right there. Okay, second example, let's move it on over here. Again, here is our A value, this is our B value, this is our C value. So A is 16, B is 17, and C is negative 14. And we're just going to plug that in. So here again is our formula. So we're going to do B, 17 squared, minus 4 times A, which is 16, times C, which is negative 14. And then plug it into our calculator again. Okay, so we're going to have 17, oops, fix that, 17 squared minus 4 multiplied by 16 multiplied by negative 14. And what we come out with is 1185. Okay, now some of these larger numbers you may not know if that's a square or not, so feel free to check it. You're going to do second square button, and you are going to plug in 1185. It is not a perfect square, so this is prime. It has been factored. We cannot factor it any further. Okay, so that's the factor test, and that's what we're going to be using as we lead into the factoring of trinomials. So make sure you do a couple of practice problems. We'll do them as we keep going, and watch out for the next video that's coming your way.